Yeah, so project monitoring and controlling is an important function in project management. We'll be looking at it from the concept of project monitoring and controlling, what it means. And then we look at what we call end value management. Then we look at how do we perform integrated change control. You might have come across it earlier. Then we go and look at validating project scope, controlling projects, controlling schedules, controlling costs, controlling quality, controlling resources, monitoring communications, monitoring risks, controlling procurement, and then we look at how we monitor stakeholders or engage stakeholders effectively. So let's look at what monitoring and controlling means in project management. So it is a process. So it's not an event, it's something that we do systematically to track, to review, and report the overall progress of a project. So basically, what we're trying to do is that when activities are taking place from initiation, planning, execution, and even closure, we would try to track and review what we are doing to see whether it is in line with what we want to do. Because you can have a good plan. We all know this. We plan every day. Oh, when I wake up 5 o'clock, I'll do this 5 to 6 days, 7 to 8 days, 9 to 10 days, 11 to 12 days. And then if you're not careful, as at 2 p.m., you'll be doing what you plan to do at 9 a.m. It happens sometimes when we don't monitor and keep an eye on the activity. So we need to track what you are doing, review, and then report on it when we say reporting, basically to provide information on how things are going. So in our project, we do the same. In our organizations, we need to ensure that we have these systems in place. So monitoring involves more of keeping track of what you are doing. You monitor, okay? The word monitor, like, computer monitor and all that. That is where you can see something. So if you want to see how things are going, and then you can be able to detect what we call variances. Variances are outcomes that are different from what we intend. For example, you want to mold 10 blocks a day for a building project, and then after the first day, you ended up molding about 12 blocks. What it means is that you have molded more than you planned. So that is what we call a positive variance. If you have achieved more than, then you know that, okay, you can still keep the same pace for tomorrow. But if you molded only 7 out of the 10 blocks, then it means that you are in a negative variance of 3. It means that you need to step up your efforts tomorrow so you can be able to meet your daily target of 10. So basically, variances help us to determine where we can correct certain things in our project management process. So there is a system called the Kanban system, which is a Japanese word, which means a card or cardboard, where you can display your project activities. Let's say on a notice board. Let's put it typically this year, you can have a notice board in your office or wherever, and then you can write down the things that you do or you want to do for that day, and the time, and then you can be checking it to see that it is going according to plan. The Kanban system only help you to have what we call visualization of things you want to do. So that it's not that you're going to take your phone and look to your calendar to see what is next. No. Once you raise your head like this, the thing is on the wall, what you are going to do. So you can have that system in place if you want to keep track of things. So in project management, we can keep all project activities visible at the project sites or wherever people are working so they know what they are supposed to do. That way, people will be able to work within time. They don't have to come and ask what next. They already can see it openly. So that's the idea there. So the monitoring and control is performed throughout the project from beginning to an end, as we said, from initiation all the way down to closure. So we look at why monitoring and controlling are important. One, it enables us and all other members of the project team call the stakeholders to understand the current state of the project. If you monitor and control, you remember we say monitor and control, including tracking, reviewing, and reporting. So we provide a report on what has happened, whether we have achieved more or the same or less, and then everybody's aware of what is happening. It provides feedback to stakeholders, whether we are achieving variances. Ideally, in project, we don't like variances. We want to achieve exactly what we want to achieve. If there are variances, we take steps to ensure that we correct any variances. Then you also afford the team to ensure that the project activities are implemented according to plan. Okay. And it helps us to identify variances early in the project so that we can be able to take corrective action. Assuming you've not monitored your activities the whole of the time, you will not know whether you are working according to plan or not. So that's the talking about the schedule variance. You've done scheduling in project planning, so you understand if there will be a need for crashing or for fast tracking. That will be triggered by whether you are actually taking note of what is happening at the Gemba or where the project is taking place. It monitor and
Hello,
controlling.
Doc. My hand is up.
Yes, please go ahead.
I don't know whether I got it right. That in project management, we don't entertain the variances.
Hello, please, I can hardly hear
So
you.
I want to know. Yeah, hello, Doc. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you, but speak a
Okay.
bit louder.
Somewhere along the line, you did say you don't entertain the variances in project management. But I want to know what if it's a positive variance?
Yeah, we don't want to have variances, whether it is positive or negative. But positive variances are better than negative variances.
Okay, Doc. Thank you.
Yeah. Um, is in our world we say a number brain same coin. That is like a positive variance, that kind of thing. But in projects, we want things to be accurate, right? Of what use is an excess block if you don't need it? You would have molded excess blocks. That means also that you might have used more cement and more labor, and you'll be paying for them. So if at the end of the day we needed 5,000 blocks, which will be calculated by, let's say, 1,000 blocks per day, and you didn't check to see whether you are molding 1,000 blocks or not, and then you molded about 1,002 a day, making 6,000 blocks after the fifth day, what are you going to use the remaining 1,000 blocks for? Are you not going to look for
Uh,
market to sell it? Your project is not dealing in block sales. So we just want to have exactly what we plan. A scope variance can also lead to what we call scope creep. I'm sure
so,
you might have come across scope
sorry,
creep.
Sorry, I have to. We have to go back a little on this discussion. So, in any situation, like real life situation, at least we have an error of margin. We can't be 100% perfect. If you look at the procurement aspect, JIT, supply chain, the JIT concept is that we are not supposed to keep stock. However, it says in case of emergencies, you should keep a minimal stock. So my argument I'm raising here is that yes, we will not like the variances, but if it's positive, yes, it can make room for emergencies, for buffer stock or stock outs. That's my argument on the variances. Basically, when it comes to positive variance, why I would like my project to have some positive variance, but of course, I will put an error of margin in there.
So you're talking about margin of error. Yes, that is it in real sense. But in project management, we are looking for accuracy. We are not working so that we know that, oh, human beings are not perfect, so we are expecting errors. No. You work towards it. That's why when you monitor and you see there's something that you're not supposed to do, or you have done it that is wrong, you correct it. Just in time and all those systems, yes, that is for procurement. If you don't want to keep stock, you still keep a little in case of emergency. It doesn't mean that you are going to procure more than necessary. That safety stock level and all that does not mean that you are keeping more than necessary. You are only keeping some stock in case your stock you face stock out, then you can fall on them, right? But we don't want to. If you need 10,000 cities to buy a land in your village for a project, why will you go for a loan of 12,000? You are going to waste the resources. After paying the 10,000, that 2,000, your village gods will cause a problem in your family, so that you go and buy drinks, and then that is the point. So it is very important to ensure that we aim at precision. There's a Ghanaian way of doing things that, say we no, this one is no. We're moving towards a world of precision. Can you imagine if your aeroplane is supposed to touch base at a certain precise speed or whatever altitude, and then there's a margin of error, and the flight the pilot thought the plane has touched down when the plane has not actually touched down, and it started speeding. You know what it means? So our aim is always to get things at the right quantity and quality and time. In Ghana, I've tried to observe project performance or activities in Ghana and in other international environments, and I see that we lack discipline. Yeah, we are so flexible. We lack discipline when it comes to our activities. Either we are doing too much or we are doing less, and no one is keeping eyes on the thing. But elsewhere, it's like those of you who have watched some movies, that high school movies. When it is break time is 10 o'clock. When it's 10 o'clock and you are still teaching, what happens? The students take their bags and go out. Oh, they are going for break. You continue to teach the marker board. They leave you because someone did not take breakfast, thinking that by 10 o'clock, supposed to take breakfast. Beyond that, the person could have ulcer or do something. So there's a schedule. There's something we need to do. We are not encouraging variances. Variances may come. That's why we say you need to check. If variances come, you shouldn't be happy and saying that, oh, that's fine. For example, if you're supposed to build a 3-bedroom apartment and you ended up with 4-bedroom apartment, that is not good. What if the owner does not want the 4th room? What is he going to use the 4th room for? He doesn't need it. So that becomes a scope creep, as we all know. So the essence of monitoring and controlling is not to achieve positive variance. No. Even though we say positive variance is better than negative variance, but that is not the essence. The essence of monitoring and controlling is to ensure that if today we work for, let's say 8 hours, and we got 1,002. Yes, assuming we are paying people per hour, then it means that tomorrow we could do 7 hours, so we pay less. And then we will even use less cement, and then we'll get our 1,000. We don't say we got 1,002, so let's continue like that. Unless, of course, you want to crash the project time from 5 days to 4 days, where you want to do 1,000, 2 times 4, you get 4,800. And then maybe the last day you can do 1,004, then you get 5,000. If that becomes necessary, but if that is not necessary, you don't need to do more than you are supposed to do. All that we need to do is to make sure, because there's a lot of thinking that went into the project planning. You know how the planning process is so rigorous. So there's a reason why a project team agreed that we need to mold 5,000 blocks. All right. And I'm sure they might have taken into consideration the buffer and all those calculations already in the 5,000, right? So if you ended up doing additional buffer or going beyond what you're supposed to do, then you are likely to be wasting resources. If you buy more than you need, you know what it means also that you are locking up your capital in store. Yeah. So those things must be done carefully. Said that we don't do more than necessary. If it's a rainy season, for example, and you think you cannot mold blocks every day, then that should be clearly stated that we'll attempt to do maybe 1,005 instead of 1,000, so that if 3 days you're able to do all that we need, then we leave the other days. Those things must be part of the plan. But whatever we plan, we must make sure we keep to it. That's all we are talking about under project monitoring and controlling. I saw another hand up. Do you understand the issues we are talking about?
Yes, Doc.
Do you agree with me, or you still have some
I
concerns?
do perfectly. I do. Like the example you cited, you are
Mm,
going for a loan, a budget for 1,000 and go for a loan of 2,000.
mm.
The tendency of you wasting that 200 is very high. But
Yeah,
once the money gets in hand, other plans come in. So
yeah,
it's better you go for that 10,000 as expected.
exactly,
Thank you, Doc.
exactly. So let's be careful in even our daily planning projects. We should not attempt to do more than necessary. Let's always do our best. Sometimes you have scheduled a lot of things to do a day and you finish earlier than 5 p.m. We said, there's more time. Your body has used a lot of energy to finish all those tasks. If you finish at 3 o'clock, close and end the day. Otherwise, you end up, how do you call it, overworking yourself. All right. So all those things, you have to keep an eye on it. That's part of monitoring and controlling your own schedules and your body systems, because your body doesn't have mouth to talk. It will break down one day when you have overused it. Yes, Daniel. Daniel, your hand is up, please. You can speak. You have to unmute yourself before you speak so we can hear you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, please can you hear me? So, sir, so far, what I've deduced is that whether positive or negative variance, there is always it is always associated with cost.
Kofi, who is Kofi? Okay, I think, yeah, there was noise at the background. So, Daniel, if I understand you, you're asking if whether it is positive or negative variance, it's also always come with cost.
Yes.
Yes, depending on the cost. If it's a positive variance, it's likely to come with cost either in material, in terms of material that you have used. You have been to, I don't know if you have been to some construction site or road construction or building construction site. When they are done, you see a lot of materials wasted on the left on the side, but the project is complete. That material,
Yes.
chippings and blocks and other things you see at the site after the project is complete is cost. In fact, other people, passers by, may come and collect them and just use them, or it will be wasted. It will be there for so many years, and then weeds will grow on it, and that is it. It only means that there was not proper monitoring and controlling for procurement. Procurement was done without proper monitoring and controlling, so there will be a lot of waste. So that is a cost. Anytime you probably buy more or you spend more time, maybe this part of the world, we don't normally pay people per hour. So we don't really understand what the hour means here. But those of us who work in an environment where you are paid per hour, yeah, if someone does additional work for another hour that you don't need, that becomes labor cost that you don't really need, right? So positive variance can result in cost. Negative variance can also result in cost, such that if you're supposed to do or mode the 5,000 blocks in 5 days, 1,000 times 5, and you ended up doing 800, and you do not check how many blocks you molded a day, and then 800 times 5 will give us 4,000 after the 5 days. So what it means is that we will be short of what? 1,000 blocks. What it means is that you may have to commission another group to mold 10 more blocks. Sorry, 1,000 more blocks in another day. And that comes with additional cost. You might have paid the people in Ghana, let's call it by day. Okay. Or even if you're paying them per hour, it still means that you haven't achieved your goal, and then you have to pay them extra. So we need to keep our eyes on the outputs of the project at every point. And we do about 80 to 90% of all these monitoring and controlling activities. They are useful during the implementation stage or execution stage of the project. And that's why we normally talk about it just after implementation. Yeah. Because people are supposed to do certain things. You need to keep your eye on them to be sure they do it. Otherwise, if you just assume that they did it, then you are going to be in trouble if it ended up that they didn't do what they are supposed to do. So yes, negative or positive variance will come with cost in one way or the other. Any more questions or concerns? Okay. So that is it about why we need to have monitoring and controlling systems. One of the things we need to do under monitoring and controlling systems is what we call preventive actions. Preventive action is to make sure that we think about whatever we want to do ahead of time to ensure that we don't have any variances. We put in measures so that you are more proactive, so that if there are possibility that things might go wrong, then you prevent them from happening. For example, there's a weather forecast about possible rain after 12 noon today, and you plan to do some work outdoor from 6 a.m. to, let's say, 4 p.m. What you need to do as a monitoring and control measure is to make sure there are alternatives from 12 in case the rain actually comes. So you are being proactive. That is basically the case. So you put in measures at all the time when you suspect that something could go wrong. Preventive measure. Traffic. You are into procurement, logistics, supply chain management. Delay in supply would be as a result of what? Traffic. So you need to monitor traffic and ensure that leaving Accra, moving out of Accra or entering Accra after 6 a.m. is tough under most circumstances. So you may want to let your vehicles move earlier. By 4, 5, they are out of the city to prevent traffic so that materials will reach construction site on time. So all these things are things that you need to do. Preventive action. All right. So preventive actions help us to ensure that anticipated risk are controlled, or we overcome them so that the project will still remain within schedule and implemented successfully on time. Some examples of preventive action include changing a vendor and cross-skilling. So changing a vendor is important preventive measure when you realize that a supplier continuously disappoints you, either in terms of quality or delivery time or quantities. You're not able to get the things you want on time. The best thing is to change that vendor to a more reliable vendor who can supply you items on time. That is a typical example. Cross-skilling is when you train employees or your team members in other skill areas so that in case somebody is on leave or not available or resigns at a particular time, someone can step in temporarily until the substantive person is gotten for that role or the person is back from leave. For example, you can train your account officer in simple procurement duties or practices, so that in case the procurement officer is on leave or is indisposed, then the account officer can step in to perform procurement activities until we get a new account officer, or account officer is back on leave, or if it's not well, yeah, it's back to the office. These things are done so that people can step in for others. Yeah, and not necessarily because they want this vote to be replaced. Who is not able to join the meeting? I'm surprised. Did anyone suffer before joining the meeting? Beniano, who said is not able to join the meeting? There are 52 people here. I didn't stop anyone from entering.
Yeah, some are saying that you are not allowing them.
Allowing them?
No, they
Yes.
are using the old link. That is why they are finding
Uh-huh.
it difficult, because I
Okay.
tried and I was using the old one
Yeah.
and I was finding it difficult too. Later, and then I saw this one.
Okay.
Yeah, we sent information on the page since yesterday that we're going to share a link today. And I sent the link. I think I even sent the link yesterday. So can you please let them know that they should go to the WhatsApp page and use the link that has been provided, please?
Okay, sir. I will do that, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nutu. Okay, then we will continue as we expect others to join us soon. Yeah, so cross-skilling, as the word goes, to cross the skill. So somebody who is into one area, maybe HR person, could learn simple accounting practices so they can step in for account officer when they are on a temporary leave or they are unavailable and all that. So that is basically it. Why is it a preventive action? So that when somebody is not available, that unit, that function of the project is not completely off. All right. So the truck driver could be trained in operating the forklift or the excavator, so that in case you don't have an excavator driver on site at a point, we can be able to get the excavator driver to or the truck driver to step in to do excavation, and the vice versa. So, but cross-skilling should be such that what the people are trained to do are not too different from what they normally would do. You see the examples I gave, there are people in similar functional areas, business administration, because we all will learn some accounting, some HR, okay, even though we are not going to be the substantive HR person, but maybe procurement person can step in for the HR, but not accountant stepping in for the surgeon to conduct surgery when the surgeon is not available. Not that kind of cross-skilling, but skilling in areas that are not too remote from the person's existing skills and knowledge areas. So we do this to prevent things from going wrong. These are just two examples. We can have a lot. Another preventive action, maybe another example will be when you are going to have a social event, and again, there's a weather forecast of a rain, then you can make arrangement for the event to be indoor, or you can have it at a place that there's a standby indoor area, just in case the rain actually comes, then you can quickly move to that place. You prevent the event from coming to an abrupt end when there is when the rain actually occurs. So it is based on things you can foresee to happen. You try to prevent them. All right. Then sometimes you do everything possible to prevent things, but there can still be things that may not work out as planned. Or it's not everything you can predict. It's not every failure you can predict. Or people are just simply negligent. When that happens, things can just go wrong. And then you need to come with what we call rework or defect repair. That's when you go back and work on things that did not go well according to plan. Then you prevent the repair. Then you repair the defect, or you do the things again. All right. So corrective actions are not desirable. We don't want to go for corrective actions. It only comes when you have tried to prevent things from going wrong, right? Why do we need to break down? I'll give you an example. My brother used to work with the Chinese for community borehole. Some of you might have seen those boreholes dug in the villages and all over the country. Yeah, so my brother does the civil engineering works, fixing up the pump and all that. Sometimes when he leave the workers on site, they were supposed to use I think 12 or so, or 15 bags of cement. Yeah, 12 to 15, depending on the size of and the area where they get to, of cement for the construction work of the platform, the concrete platform. Now they will try and reduce that to about 7 or 8 so that they can sell the rest of the bags. Now, what happens is that because there's no proper monitoring and controlling in place to ensure that the 12 to 15 bags are used per site, what happens is that the strength of the concrete will be very low. So when they evaluate or they come and test it at the end of the day, they'll see that the concrete pad is weak. So they have to break it down and do it again. See the cost. What that means is that the monitoring and control measures were weak. So you have to do a work. That is very expensive way of handling projects. So, and at those circumstances, there's nothing you can do but to break it anyway, and it comes with a lot of cost. So that's why we don't really encourage rework or defect repair. Yeah, Derek, Ni?
Yes, Doc. So in the cement example you gave, one control measure we put in place here in my facility is that when the bags arrive, the cement arrives, we stamp all of them. Because these guys are very smart that, like you are saying, they will use 8, but they will still produce the 10 bags, empty bags of cement for you.
Yeah.
So we stamp and sign. So when we come, we demand for the empty bags.
Yeah.
So we check all to be sure that those that we've received are those that we stamped and signed.
Yeah.
So if one is not signed, we know that then they've infiltrated it to a foreign one.
Good. That's a very good. That's a very good monitor and control measure. Very, very good monitor and control. So you see, that becomes what we call a preventive action. You are preventing them from using less quantity of cement. So that's what we desire. But let me tell you a story. Not a story, but let me continue from what I was saying earlier. You see, so we started signing on the cement bag, as you already said, and date it. Okay, we didn't have a stamp, so we didn't stamp it on site. We didn't have a stamp on the site. But then we got an inside information that, Charlie, people were still mimicking the signatures, you know? People are smart. They were able to mimic the signatures and signing on empty cement bags and replacing them with the ones that replacing the empty cement bag with fresh cement, and they take them away to go and sell. Yeah. So we had to go to the next stage.
I was about to say that.
Yeah. Then we had to go. So we had to go to the next stage. We had to reason with the Chinese. So the Chinese now decided that he will sign in Chinese. He will sign in the date and other things that he will use, sign in Chinese. And at the point, that was more helpful because you see the Chinese writing is like a drawing, but they make meaning. A little dot somewhere, even whether the stick is a bit straight or whatever would make a big difference. Okay, so those drawings make difference. So we were able to catch people when they we were able to catch people when they are now attempted to use to draw the Chinese thing. The Chinese say, no. No. This not me right. Me not write this. No. This me not write this. This. So
Zero two zero.
we managed to catch people, but I think Nick's approach is good with the stamp. But again, don't lose guard. People can develop stamp that has exactly. They just need to send that thing to one corner somewhere for those stamp guys. Shall develop a stamp from paper? You will hardly see a difference. So,
People
but
already go
to a
for
very
that
large
one.
extent, you can achieve high
Like,
precision up to about 90 to 99% with your approach, because you are using about 3 different signature date and stamp. Yes, it's really good. I will recommend it. But again, if there are, maybe you can also keep an informant who is paid an allowance as a spy, even though the person is still working. Maybe, I don't know, to be
I
giving
think the
information.
best would be maybe to install
Alright.
CCTV cameras or something. Now,
There's
those are the
someone
ones that.
talking at the background who is not actually contributing. Let me see. Please, who is speaking?
Say, please, Ebenezer.
Ebenezer.
Hey,
So let
Inzonta.
me mute the rest of the people so that you can speak. Yes, Ebenezer, go ahead.
So, please, I was saying, as a mitigation factor, perhaps you could install CCTV cameras. Now, I think those are the best ones that help with some of these things.
Okay,
No,
okay.
but these things they happen at the site. So even the trucks, when they has moved it from the warehouse, taking it to the site, in between the crowd, they operate.
Okay, in between. So
Yes,
so it's
they
not on the
operate.
site.
It's not on the site per se or the loading bay. Most time
Mm.
they are canny, they know where to. So like I are saying, the stamp, and of course we also have to proactive. They are very smart. We monitor as and when we see loopholes, we block them. Like the stamp we are using is also helping.
Okay,
And Bob
but
rightly said, they can imitate the stamp all right. But we also, as and when it happens, we try to see how best we can also block those cracks and loopholes.
yeah. All this technology, there's a technology now you are aware, what we call a blockchain. Blockchain help traceability of things, but I don't know how we can use that. Maybe you can think about how to use blockchain to work on some of these. Another way you can also.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so for us, in monitoring our transportation trucks, we have these trackers on them with the Internet
trackers.
of Things. So perhaps when you notice that for some strange reasons, a tracker stopped at a funny location for some time, then you should be suspicious and then perhaps be monitoring that particular track. Those are some of the things our warehouse and transportation people use.
But that must be expensive. Are you using GPS trackers?
Oh, we have trackers here that we can monitor on our screens. So wherever you are, you know.
Are they
you
not
are
expensive? If I'm just a small business construction firm, that
you have a point though. You have a point. So,
might be expensive. And also the nature of the track. It's not every track that GPS will work. If it's an open track, open top track, unless it is properly covered, then okay. If it's open, you can still monitor the movement, but not the opening and closing. There's some tracks that when it's open, you can't open it because it will blow an alarm, because it's also fixed with the other monitors and trackers. So it's not as easy as we are saying it here. You guys are on the field, so you understand. So the whole thing is the criminals are trying to be smart, so you have to be smarter. That is basically what we are trying to say, that try to be ahead of the competition, try to be ahead of all these tactics. If you try one, it didn't work, try another one, you can combine. And in the case of the stamp, maybe you can actually decide to be changing the stamp. And I have a complicated signature for such things, and I have things that I look out for. What actually happens is that even the kind of pen, you don't just use a pen that they can easily find easily on the in the market. Just go and buy. You can really look for a particular type of pen, and when you sign, you can take pictures. You can sign and number them. Sign and number
Yeah,
them.
so
Yeah, it's not easy. Sure. Okay.
it's not easy.
Sign.
And then you can equally sign at an obscure place, just small, something they wouldn't even think there's a writing on it.
Okay. But they might get to know when you now catch them and show them why you think they have stolen. Then
No, so you don't show them. But like I say, yes, that's when they get to know, you change the tactics.
okay. Yeah, that's also another option. So aside from the visible ones, you can add additional one that you don't know. They will not know. So you tell them that you are stamping and signing. So they will only be looking for stamping and signing. There's one that you have added that they will not know. Yes, that is also another thing. So you can even do a numbering. If it is 1, 2, maybe you can tear into the cement bag. It has layers. Maybe a little part. I don't know whether that will affect the transportation. But if you don't have to tear down there, you can write something small number. That one, no one will know. Okay, so these are ways. Yeah, those of us in the construction industry, at least we've got some techniques on monitoring and controlling. Yeah, people in other areas, you can also look at ways. Now, AI help us to give us information on how to do some of these things. So you can just go to AI and type, this is your problem with this kind of business or construct or a project. You want to do ABCD, you want to monitor and control that this thing is not like this, to prevent something. AI will give you some ideas, and then you see whether it is possible. But when you are working with AI, always give AI the context. Otherwise, it will give you solutions that you cannot implement in Ghana. Tell the person you are in Ghana, tell the AI you are in Ghana, you are into this. Give it all the information accurately, as if you are talking to a human being, and then it can be able to give you some ideas. Yeah. So that is how we try to keep things in order that we avoid rework. But again, like we said, whenever things don't go as planned, there's a need for a rework. Please do it so that you don't end up having a lot of backlash, because you may not get paid if at the end of the day the project sponsor or the users realize that what you have done at the end of the day does not meet the standards. You may lose your contract. You may not get work from them again. So it's better to do a rework whenever you realize it than to keep it and so when otherwise you can it is not a way to develop a sustainable business. Okay. So all repairs, corrective actions, and reworks should also have to go through what we call integrated change control process. We'll look at that soon, but what it means that when we talk about integrated change control process, meaning that before you do all those things, you need to bring all stakeholders together. You don't just make changes to things without stakeholders. So you need to let all those who are involved know that there's going to be new changes to the way we do things. Yeah, apart from those ones that are supposed to be secret marks on things and stuff like that. That one will be known to only the core team. Yeah, but you also need to be sure that the core team does not have an informant who is giving information to the grassroots guys. Actually, there's a new change, so watch out for this. It's always a very difficult terrain. Yeah, so maybe that function could be left to only one person rather than a group of people. There are some functions of monitoring and controlling that should be left with only one person, not everybody in the group. Then there's something we call end value management. So end value management is checking to see whether what you have actually put in is what you get, right? Have you earned the value you have put in it? So it's a systematic process of making sure that the work that we perform is the work that we are getting. If you put in, let's say, 5 hours of effort, we want to make, let's say, 1,000 blocks within 10 hours. So after 5 hours, have we achieved, let's say, 500 blocks? That's basically the concept. So the idea is that we plan to achieve something. If we have if we are going to spend 2,000 cedis on our fuel for the month, and after 10 days, and the trucks are moving every day, but after 10 days, we have spent only 1,000 cedis. It means that we are not doing well. We are spending more than necessary. So we need to check it. So end value management concept help us with time and the activity schedule, cost, scope, and the resources. Are we getting value for the resources we are using or not? All those things must be very, very clear. So there are areas that we calculate end value management. So the term end value will mean that what we have gotten out of our efforts, basically. Plan value is what we plan to achieve. So to find a variance is what we plan to achieve minus what we have earned. For example, if you plan to spend 1 million cedis on a 2-kilometer stretch of bitumen, and we ended up spending all the 1 million, but we achieved only 0.8 kilometers, not up to or even 1.5 kilometers, less than the 2 kilometers we wanted to achieve. It means that we have gotten a negative variance. We spent all the money, but we didn't achieve what we wanted to do. Or you may also end up not spending all the money, but you have achieved the entire goal. So that again brings us to variance analysis. So we normally want our end value to be equal to plan value. Or if there's still a variance, then it should be that our end value should be more than the plan value. What we have gotten should be more than what we plan to get. That's basically the idea. So we have the cost variance, which is our end value minus the actual cost. It is negative if our actual cost is more than the end value, and then it's positive if our end value is more than the actual cost. What is the difference between the end value and the actual cost? So let's assume you have built a house, okay, and we have been asked to evaluate, or not to evaluate, to value the apartment. Valuers have come to value the apartment, and they say, oh, this house, if we are building it now, looking at all the facilities and everything, location and everything, one will have spent, let's say, 20 million cedis to build this house. If you have spent 15 million doing the same thing, that becomes your actual cost. The end value is 20 million because that is the value of the thing. So because your actual cost, which is 50 million, is less than the value you have earned, which is the 20 million for that kind of building, you get a positive variance, which means that you have saved about 5 million. On the other hand, if you have spent 25 million, when evaluators believe that that building should be maximum 20 million, it means that you have spent more than necessary for the same value. Someone who have spent 20 million and gotten the same value, it means that you have spent more. So that becomes a negative variance. So this cost variance analysis help us to know whether we are spending more than we need, or we are just spending within same budget. This kind of variance analysis help us to be sure that we are not budgeting too much, because you see, you can actually also budget more than necessary, and you say, well, you are working within budget, but it does not make it efficient. So you can, maybe your budget was 30 million, and then you spend 25 million. You think that you are being efficient, but when evaluators or assessors look at it and say, no, this thing should cost between 18 to 20 million. What it means that you are being over, your budget is even out of scope. Okay, so we are not only happy when we spend less than the budget or just exactly the amount, but we have to be checking that what we are budgeting for is actually a realistic pricing, so we are not working. In the same way, it's also possible that you might have budgeted too little. So you might think that you are exceeding budget, but when evaluators check, you say, no, even with this budget you have exceeded, you are still being efficient. So you may end up not motivating your team because you have given them too tight budget. But there's a way to check it with market prices and what other people will spend on it so that we are sure that this is the real value. That is the end value. That is the understanding. The same with schedule, the same with what we call the CPI, cost performance index. That is basically your end value over the actual cost. You see whether if it is more than one, then you are being efficient, right? Then so the schedule variance is when you plan to do something at a particular time. But if you want to use, let's say 3 days, and then you end up using 4 days, we need to check whether how many days will it take for someone to do a similar thing, or the average person to do a similar thing. So all these things help us to keep track. So we can do external analysis of what we are doing, not always comparing what we have planned and what we are doing, but also what is the typical situation out there that can help us. So we can also estimate cost at completion. Okay. So we have cost at completion and variance at completion. Cost at completion is to compare what we have actually spent at the end of the day against our budget and also against what other people have spent on it. All right. So the estimated cost at completion will be the actual cost plus the estimate to complete. Okay. Actual cost plus your estimate to complete. Variance. This kind of calculation normally is not for you, the project manager, but we just want to let you know how to. So don't worry so much about it. Not really a big deal. But normally the project accountant, they determine these things and then they let you know. But as a project manager, you need to have a fair idea. All these things we have been teaching you all this week doesn't mean that you are the one going to do everything, but you need to understand how it is done so that when they bring it and they are telling about variances, you'll be able to understand. So the variance at completion gives you a projection of the amount over or under the budget at completion of the project. So whether you have spent more or spent less. All right. So we look at the budget and the end value to see whether there's a positive or negative variance. That's basically the idea. So why do we need to do end value management? It helps us to get data to see whether we are on track, we are doing the right thing, whether we are making profit or we are making losses. It can help in profit determination. If you are spending more than what other people will spend on the same thing, it means that you are making losses. All right. But if you are, there's what we call price discrimination. Sometimes if you are buying from the wrong person, you are likely to be spending more than necessary. Okay. It also reduces project risk. Sometimes when we are able to ensure that we are not spending too much or we are working within schedule. All right. Profitability analysis, we talk about that already. Project forecasting. So that next time we know that this is what we can do. If you look at your end value against what you have achieved, you can be able to adjust your project budget next time so that you are more realistic. Okay. And it also provides a good framework for better project accountability. Anyone who come, you can be able to tell, this is how much we spend, but this is how much other people will spend on the same thing. So we have achieved a positive variance. You can be able to make a case. Or you can say, looking at the budgets that you have given us, this is how much it takes to do it, and this is how much other people are doing it. So next time we need to improve on or increase the budget allocation for this particular activity. So we can do these things for different project activities or the entire project activity from time to time. Yeah, it also aids in performance tracking to be sure that we are working within schedule, especially the schedule variance. Yeah. Then this is what I mentioned earlier, what we call integrated change control. In integrated change control, the word integrated is there, change is there, and control. Let's look at change first. Change means that when you start the project, there might be a need to change certain things. We started the project that we said that we're going to have a 3-bedroom apartment, but at the point, the owner of the apartment or a project client says that he will prefer a 4-bedroom, so we need to add additional one. That's a change request, right? What do? You don't just go and start digging a new foundation for additional room to be added. You need to bring on board the architect the project consultant, project manager, the construction engineer, all the people, the accountant, the procurement people, all of the people who are stakeholders, including uh, the one who is making the request. You need to sit on a table together to look at the possible implication on cost, time, engineering, and other things. You, the project manager, if you just decide that, hey, go and dig the back there, let's add one room. You see, what is the effect on the engineering? Maybe the air flowing into the house per the initial design may be reduced. Or the cost, of course, the cost will increase because you need to buy additional materials. So you cannot just make changes to a project activities or scope or deliverables without bringing on board everybody. So the idea is that we need to make sure everybody who is concerned about a particular change is brought to the drawing board. So at least we get their views. Maybe the design, the architect or the construction engineer will tell that, look, looking at the way the house is, what we've done so far, we cannot add additional room. If we add additional room, it can, when the wind can, maybe the room will break, or maybe it's supposed to be a one-story building. Now they said let's add additional one. You've seen a lot of story buildings that are hanging because the initial idea was not to have it as a 3-story building, maybe one. Now they've done 2, they've done 3. Then you see that they will now be putting in pillars at places that they didn't originally plan it to be. You see the down pillars are very thin and the top pillars are rather bigger than the ground pillars. You see, all those things only show you that there was not integrated change control. The project consultant engineers and architects and all the people who are involved must come to the drawing table when there's a need for change. Sometimes the owner of the apartment will just call a mason and say, come and build another one with this one for me. Those people are not engineers. They will not understand the effect because a lower level cannot be lighter than the higher level. Okay, this is simple engineering practice. So we need to understand that and ensure that all the time we get to consult everybody. That's why we call it integrated change control. So we are going to control the change, but we're going to ensure that we integrate it. Like integration means we are bringing a lot of people together. That's what the integration means. So we are going to perform it, a change. But the moment we agree to the change, what happens is that we need to update the project document that now we are going to have 3-story instead of 2-story. So that at the end of the day, if we don't update the project document, that additional story becomes what we call scope creep. It means you have done quite a lot to be able to support the project, but scope creep means that you have done more than necessary, which is not desirable. All right. Stakeholders may raise questions. Who approved this? Remember that some of you might have come across those issues before. You might have done something, I mean, in good faith, but someone will come and say, who asked you to do it? Who approved this? You know, issues will come up, and then something that you meant to be good, now ends you. So the important thing to do is to ensure that people are always happy with even the changes if you consult them. That's why for me these days, I don't even buy surprise birthday gifts. So unless you know the person in total, that the person really want this. Okay. Otherwise, you buy a birthday gift, the following day, you see that someone else is using your gifts. You see that it will be painful. Because the person you bought the thing for, the person doesn't need it. You didn't involve the person in the discussion. Right? The most painful thing is for you to spend your last to buy something for somebody and the person does not appreciate it. And that is what we want to avoid in change management in projects. You may say, oh, Charlie, this, we have space. Let's add additional room to it. What if the owner does not want it? So it's always important to bring people on board, all the stakeholders on board, because the owner may like it, but the person doesn't have the money. So you bring a bill which is more than necessary, and the person will say, no. But this is not what you did. They say, yeah, it's like you take your car to the shop. Some of you have experienced it. Change oil for me. Give me budget. The person will say, oh, oil is maybe 250 cedis or 300 Ghana, and workmanship 200. Okay, so change it. The person come in the evening with 950 cedis bill. Why? Oh, director, we changed. We saw that this one also was not. Did you tell me? He said no, but there was no. That was a change in plan, but it was not performed with an integration with stakeholders. What if the person came home and then all that you had on you was 500 Ghana? How are you going to sort out the remaining 450? So it's very important to ensure that all stakeholders are involved so that everything that we are doing is not a surprise to anybody. It's not a good thing to surprise anybody in project management. People should be aware of what they expect. One of the things we do under project monitoring and controlling is to validate the project scope. When we talk of project scope, it is what you intend to be the outcome of the work. Okay, include the deliverables, work packages, and activities, everything. So there are validations at 2 points. The first validation is when you start to work on a project, when they give you the contract or the project charter and you want to start the work, you need to meet with the project team and the owners and the users to be sure that, in my understanding, you said A, B, C, D. Is that okay? They say, yes, this is exactly what we mean. Or they say, no, this is not what we mean. We mean that this thing should be like this, thing should be like that. Also, okay, it was not clear in the project charter or the contract. So we make the changes until all of you now are at the same level. You agree that this is it. Then that is the validation at the start. The validation at closure is when you have finished with the work, then you call the project sponsor and the owners of the project to come and said, we agree that we're going to do ABCD. Please, we have done ABCD. Go and check to see whether this is exactly what you wanted. Then they will go and check. They'll say, oh, yes, we like it. This is exactly what we wanted. It has been validated at the end too. Or no. We said that every room should have both AC and fan, but we realized that you have only AC without the fan. So we need to fix it. So then you have to go back to your project charter and the validation report at the beginning to see whether that's what you actually agreed to. If you didn't agree to, you said you bring the initial validation statement or discussion. You say no. At the initial validation, your company representative said that we don't need the fan again, only the AC. That's why it is like this, or it's like that. It's like that. So all those discussions will come at the end, and everything should be documented. You see, someone can raise an opposition at the end of the day, but if you don't document it, how will you know whether the thing the person is saying is true or not? So we need to document validation at the beginning, validation at the end. Let everything that is said in the thing is properly validated, and then sign that every member in the project team is aware and agrees to it. When you are handing over projects, validation is important because someone may say that, what if you hand over a project and someone comes to tell you, but the rooms, there were no air conditioners fixed. Meanwhile, you have fixed the air conditioners, someone may go and remove them. So you need to hand over the things, and then they should be verified by the owner before you leave the site. For every project, make sure you validate it, and people should be informed accordingly. So for scope controls, when we talk about scope, it's all about the functionalities of project, the deliverable and the work packages. We need to always make sure we refer to the scope statement when we are working on it, so that you, the project manager, you don't do less or more. Less when you have supposed to work on a number of things and you didn't do some of them. Maybe the project scope includes landscaping. You finish the building nicely, but you didn't do the landscaping and tiling of the compound. That is not good. Or the project scope did not include tiling of the compound. Then you are done with the main building, and then you decide to tile the compound. Who is going to pay for it? So you need to make sure you work within the scope of the project that was agreed at the beginning. And during the scope control process, there may be a need for changes. For example, initially, landscaping and tiling of the compound was not part, or the road construction to the site and tarring the road was not part. But when you are done, the person, or midway, the project owner sees that what you are doing, he likes it, so you want to add additional contract even before you finish. that must be treated as a separate contract, or changes to this project to include the landscaping. Don't just listen to word of mouth contract and say, oh, we are going to do it. No, everything must be changed, and it must pass through proper stages of contracting so that we are all aware that now our contract includes landscaping or road construction. Then schedule control. Schedule control, sometimes our schedule basically, when we talk of schedule, we are looking at the time and activity. So what we want to do and when we want to do it. You need to make sure that we do work according to time. If it is supposed to be 3 weeks, it's 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, it's 2 years, 2 years. It's only in Ghana that schedule variances, we treat them as normal. Something that's supposed to be 6 months before we realize 2 years. And no one is complaining. But elsewhere, 6 months is 6 months. 6 months is only the same as 6 months plus 1 day. No. 6 months, 60 days is 60 days. And you must make sure you do things according to plan. And if there's a need for you to make changes to the schedule, then you need to let everyone know. All changes must also undergo integrated change control process. If you want to change the time that the project now, instead of 6 months, we say it will be 3 months. Okay, then we have to make sure that is clear. Everybody's aware that we need to do more to be able to work within the schedule. So another thing is to control cost. Cost control measures mean that how much we have planned to achieve or to spend, we are spending within budget. Don't spend more. If there's a need to spend more or there's an additional work that has been added, it must undergo integrated change control process, what we call the ICC. It's not International Criminal Court. It is integrated change control in project management. What does that mean? It means that for you to increase the budget or reduce the budget, all members of the project, important stakeholders must be aware that now we are going to increase the cost per cement because things have changed. We are in hyperinflationary period. Especially in 2022, where prices were increased almost every day. There could be a need for change, even though we are not going to increase the scope of the work, but the price will have to change because the dollar to CD rate kept changing almost every day. And then prices in the local international market kept changing every day because of the exchange rate. So we needed to make changes, but those changes should not be done at the blind side of anybody. Yeah, all the stakeholders that are involved that are concerned must be involved so that they are aware and approve of it. Control quality. When we talk of quality, we are looking at fit for purpose. So we need to make sure that what the quality standard we are putting in our plan is what we achieve. We are implementing it as planned. Quality standards that may include the brand of materials. If you are supposed to use 42.5 R for construction, we have to make sure we do that. We don't go and buy 32.5 R, okay, because they may be useful for different purposes. Yeah, 42.5 are normally more ideal for structural work. Okay, so we need to make sure that the standards, if in the project plan, we mention certain brand that we are going to buy Samsung television, we have to make sure we buy Samsung television. We say we are going to buy Asano AC, make sure those things, because people may attribute quality to brand. That is what they want. So make sure those things are done. Exactly. If there are any quality problems, you have to go to integrated change control, and then you do a rework, or maybe you have to return certain things to suppliers and get the preferred brand. Those things must be done before you hand over the project. Controlling resources. It is not when we need a pickup to go and pick the items that they said the driver has gone to use the pickup to collect goods for his mother-in-law in the village. You need to keep your eyes on all the resources. Okay, make sure resources are kept in warehouse. Inventory management practices, making sure we use either first in, first out, or LIFO or FIFO, whatever way we have agreed. Okay, so that making sure that resources, financial resources are available. It's not now we need resources to pay people. We have to pay people daily. They are done, and then they said the check has not been signed by director. What does it mean? What does it really mean by check is not? No, as project managers, we must make sure we are proactive. As you said, to prevent checks not being signed, you have to make sure checks are signed maybe 2 or 3 days ahead. Get it and make sure it is in hand before you continue the work. So make sure that resources, financial and non-financial, human resources are available. Not that we come in the morning, we said before we were told that, oh, the plant operator is not well. So what are we going to do? Human resource. All right. So that's why sometimes one of the ways to control resources is to do cross-skilling, that someone else can take charge temporarily until the scientific person is in. For example, the president's security guard should be able to should know how to drive. Okay, in a convoy, so that in case of emergency, the driver fell ill midway their trip. What are they going to do? Are they going to order another driver from Accra? No. There should be spare drivers that are always on standby. So all those things are part. Then monitor communications. Communication is the lifeblood of every project activity. So we have to make sure those people who need information to work on their things will work on it well. For example, a typical example, we sent out communication yesterday about a new link. Yeah, people did not monitor the page, so they ended up joining with the wrong link. You see how project could be delayed when people are not having the right information at the right time. So as project managers, you have to make sure information go through to everybody. And as project members, team members, also make sure that you monitor communication from the various platforms so that you don't end up, if there's a change, you don't end up with the old thing. It's very important. Okay, and stakeholders especially must be very, very, must be contacted regularly so that the stakeholders must not be must not be kept out of information or must not be kept in the blue. It means that they don't understand what is going on. Provide progress report to people from time to time. This, we have done 10%, we have done 50%. So people are also aware that something is going on. Otherwise, they will not know that something is going on. Then risk, you need to monitor risk. What could go wrong? You remember you might have identified certain risk, and you have to go back to your risk register from time to time to be sure that the risks that you have identified are risks that would not, in the end, create problems for the company or the project. So monitor to see that risk are not preventing the project from happening. And if you indicated that a rain could destroy or disturb your project, you have to be monitoring the weather forecast and the weather real time to be seen that if the weather is changing and the rain might come, you need to do something. All those things are really, really important for every project manager to take note. Then procurement, that's your area. You can have a very good procurement plan, but if you don't monitor the procurement, you know already, sometimes in the university year, we will budget for a certain certain things to be procured. Procurement may not come on time, or it has to go through processes. Or sometimes they come on time, but they are of different quality and standard that we wanted. Okay. Or it will come and they say now prices have increased. So you need to make sure that procurement come on time. Make sure the required standards are met. Don't let the procurement manager dump what they have on you, but it is what you need. Okay, sometimes you'll be there, they say, oh, this is what we see in the market. No, don't just buy anything you see in the market that looks like it. Right? They say the toad likes water, but not when the water is boiling. No toad can swim in boiling water. So we have to make sure, as a procurement manager, to make sure you buy the right standard. You see, there is a case about the bridge that broke down. you know what we call the girders. You know the Adomi Bridge, okay, on the Adam on the Volta Lake. Now, so you see the way it is open. Okay, there's a breakdown and there are girders that are holding it high. Okay, you see that they have not blocked in between the girders and then the bridge itself, so that air can pass through easily because the bridge is hanging on the river. There was a case where there was a bridge like that, but instead of them buying the open girders like we have it, they bought the closed girders. So the bridge was covered. The side of the bridge, the two sides of the bridge were covered from one side and the other. So the air or the wind was hitting the bridge and it was suspending the bridge. It has to, because the wind is not able to pass through the bridge. So it will be, the bridge is blocking the wind. Okay, it's like the bridge is covered on both sides. Okay, and then in the end, the bridge broke down. So the procurement officer was thinking, oh, he's buying a more quality material by getting the one that are covered. No, engineers, like I said, engineers knew why they requested for open girders. So don't go and buy something that you think is better. If you think it's better, you need to go back and consult with the team to be sure that is what the way you are thinking is the same way they are also thinking. So procurement can destroy the projects. So we need to make sure we get it done right. Yes, Ni?
Hello, Doug. Yes, with this, I'm a loss a little because with procurement, the end user raises the requisition, gives the specification.
Yeah.
So how come the procurement manager went to buy something else if it was not from the end user?
Yes,
so they can look into as to what the specification did the end user give to the procurement manager.
Yeah, it happens, you know. Many people make decisions sometimes without recourse to due process. And that's why you as a project manager, don't just take things for granted that, the procurement manager will do exactly the same. When the materials come, as a project manager, go and check the specifications to see whether it's the same as you have ordered. Or sometimes our procurement process may be that items arriving at the store or warehouse, they have to be checked. What if the officer checking did not really check the specification? He might have counted and say, okay, air conditioners have come. There are 20 air conditioners from Asano, but are they 1.5 horsepower, or they are 2.5, or they are 2? Maybe they might not check certain specifications. So you need to make sure you as a project manager, you also follow up. Even though we expect that procurement will do their work well, but it is not automatic. Something could happen. Or maybe during transit, some of the things, the ramps on the way, the driver may not drive carefully, and some of the things might have broken down, or there might be breakages before they arrive on site, but they may never tell you. So you need to make sure you check. You may not be able to check everything, but you need to make sure a team member is in charge of checking procurement before the installation of things. Yeah. Yeah, Samuel, I think I saw your hand up.
Yes, sir. I wanted to raise a concern of what Lee said. It would be that probably the requisition department actually asked for maybe a laptop for i5, but he went to the market and then realized for i7 is there, which can do better than what they requested for.
Yeah.
So probably he's just going for Core i7 even without even asking them. So that was what they was trying to actually, or Doc was trying to actually make us aware of.
Yeah. So whatever it is, if you find something, that you think will be better, you still need to confirm with the team, and then they should approve of it, because it may be that i7 you are seeing there, why is the price so low that it's now looking like i5? What if there was there can be production defect from factory. So sometimes they do discount sales. So that i7 that you are buying, maybe those ones might not even last long compared to the i5, even though they may have much higher functionalities. So before you take that decision, make sure other people are aware so that in case it creates a problem later, they will not say that this is not what we ordered. Okay. You may have good intentions as a procurement officer and doing things for people, but if there's a problem, they will blame you. But if they are enjoying that one, they will never praise the procurement officer. But if there's a problem, they say, on the koto, by now, no, people will start saying so many things. So it's very important to keep to plan. And if you need to change, please refer to stakeholders and make sure they approve of your changes. Yes, Wilfred.
Good morning. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Yes, I have experienced this not long ago. I wanted to buy a motorbike for one gentleman to use as work MP. And they have this 125 horsepower and then 150 horsepower. But when I saw the price gap, I was like, no, let's go in for the 150. I assumed that would be better for him.
Yeah.
I got it only for this guy to tell me that the 150 horsepower is not durable. The part of the bike is weak and it gets spoiled within a very short time. So he would have preferred the 125. I said, oh, look at the mistake I did. So I really understand what you are saying, though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so if you had contacted him before buying it, you have told you, hey, don't buy, Yeah, so it's very important that some things may look better, but engineers might have sat down and made decisions long before taking the final decision on those things. So I think these experiences are very useful so that we can keep to plan. Once there is a need for change, please let's just contact those involved, and then in the end, no one will blame you. If it even goes bad, the group will take responsibility that we all agree to this change. No one will say that you did that unilaterally. So I think it's well. The point is well made. Okay. Then, very important again is our stakeholder engagement. Stakeholders must be engaged at every point along the way. We mentioned about communication. So we don't need to wait till there's a problem before we contact stakeholders. Occasionally, let's have a progress report meeting, maybe if it's every quarter. So you need at least a stakeholders meeting at the beginning of the project and at the end. But in between also, there can be a need for us to have progress reports. And again, if there are any issues, also consult them. Like we said, integrated change control, anytime there's a need for a change. So stakeholders are very important components or partners to our project. So we have to make sure we engage them from time to time. Otherwise, they may think nothing is going on, assuming the owner of the project or the sponsor is not aware you are at a certain stage and you have asked for additional money. They will tell you, what have you done? They may not know that you have finished the certain areas of the project. Maybe it's a training project. Maybe you have already selected the trainees. You have done the first boot camp. They are not aware. But if at the end of every stage or milestone, you look at milestone during the planning and implementation or execution stage, at every milestone, try to engage them. Either you are sending them information or you are calling them for a meeting, breakfast meeting, where you explain things to them and they make input. Oh, okay, this is good. But if you can work on this, we would like that way you are building together with them. At the end of the day, it's easier for them to accept the result than when they are kept in the blue and then all of a sudden they said, the project is done. So these are two different scenarios. So any changes that you need to work on, sometimes you have stakeholders meeting and a stakeholder may propose a change. Make sure that you involve all the others. Okay, don't just based on one stakeholder and change everything. All right, let others know that this is what one stakeholder mentioned. But first, you need to look at the merit of that change. right? If the change is meritorious, then you can now escalate it to others to also make input. But if you have technical information, but you say no, like someone was talking about the bike thing. Now, if you go and tell me, say, oh, no, this one, no, let's not go for the 150. Let's go for the 125, right? So the person has knowledge in the area, so he can already give you information that no, the 150 will not be ideal for this purpose. So let's go for the 125. But if you're also not sure, then you cannot now escalate it to others and say, someone said we should go for the 150 instead of the 125. What do you think? Then that is when engineers and experts will come and do analysis of the new proposal to see whether it will fit in. At the end of the day, even if all of you decide on 150, no one will come and blame the procurement manager that he took that decision or she took that decision. But they will say that our decision did not work, and then we can go back. So it's always good to engage stakeholders in every decision along the way. So that is about monitoring and controlling. So you can check your competence by looking at whether you can describe the important activities and processes you require for an effective monitoring and controlling function of project management. We look at a couple of them: resource, procurement, and all those things. Then communication seems to be the lifeblood of a project. Of project monitoring and controlling. You can distinguish between preventive actions and rework, and explain how each of them support project management processes. And the fourth one is describe how you would implement a risk response when implementing a project. Risk response when there's you have planned a risk and you have identified risk, you have planned a response. How will you implement the response when the risk actually is coming? So you can discuss this again in your groups, and then you also submit them. But yeah, just to broaden your understanding, try to make time for group meetings in the course of the week, even if it is 1 hour on Wednesdays in the evening. I know you'll be tired, but yeah, just have a short discussion and improve your knowledge base. That'll be really fine. So that is it. We will take 5 minutes break or 10 minutes break, and then we come and work on closure. Closure will take just about 15 to 20 minutes, a short lecture. So let's not go too far away.
Hello, Fanuel. Good morning to you all.
Good morning, sir.
I just entered the room.
Dr. Furi, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And good morning to everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Good morning, Doc.
Oh, okay.
Good morning.
I hope you are preparing for your presentation next week.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Doc.
Thank you. I like the response. The feedback shows some readiness. Okay, so catch you after break.
Okay, Doc.
All right.
So we are returning 10 past 9. Okay, 10 minutes past 9. Let's have some breakfast and yeah, use the washroom. See you soon. Bye. But don't log out. Just remain here. You can just mute yourself.
So, some people want to save data. Some people, they have to save data, even 1 minute.
I know, right?
Okay, that is later.
So I'll pause. Okay, so at the end of every project, we have to close it. We mentioned at the beginning that a project has a beginning and an end, and it's one of the distinguishing features between a project and a business. We don't start a business with the intention of closing the business after a while. We expect the business to grow and then maybe stay till the foreseeable future. But for projects, it is the other way around, that we have a definite beginning and an end. And that's why it is very important to close every project that we start, so that we can now hand over the outcome of the project to other people who need it. Assuming you are building a house, the house is for the owner, so you cannot turn the construction site into a perpetual environment where construction work never ends. Okay, it must come to an end so that the output or the outcome are available to the people to use, whether for residential accommodation, can be a hotel, can be a classroom, it can be school, whatever it is. So we look at important things we need to do when we are closing a project. We will look at what the closing process group is, why we close projects, the inputs into the project closure, the outputs, and then we come to project evaluation, and then the actions that are necessary for project closure, and the procedure to properly close a project. So let's look at what project closure means. Project closure process group, it consists of all the activities that we perform to be able to formally close or complete a project. That's in the full project, or it can be a phase, or it can be a particular contract. Sometimes, if the project is divided into phases, you may need to close phase 1 before you go to phase 2. So sometimes that is why we may want to close it. We discussed earlier today about scope validation. When you finish the first phase, you need to make sure the stakeholders come and then they check the scope of work done, validate it, agree that this is exactly what we wanted, then you can go to the next stage. Yeah, some research projects are like that. That when you finish with the introduction, the consultant will check that, okay, yeah, this one is fine. Or sometimes they ask you to do phase 1 to phase 3. I'm sure some of you already have your supervisors, or you may start your research project maybe later, or you might have done project work before. So you see that when you perform specific task under the project, you may have to send it to your supervisor for validation and input before you go to the next stage. So that is how it works. Then at the end of the day, you need to close the research project by submitting the final report signed by your supervisor. Then you have to deposit at the depository, the right depository, whether it's at the general office or library or wherever, or online submission, wherever. So the same way, every project that you work on, you must make sure you close it properly. If you finish your research work and you didn't send it for signing and sent for assessment and repository arrangements are properly followed, you don't get any marks, you don't get credit for it, right? And someone who has access to that your document can also submit it somewhere because it has not been submitted. So it is important to make sure projects are closed properly. So when we finish performing a project, we will close it. But sometimes too, we may need to close projects even though we have not finished the performance. And some of the reasons may be because of poor performance. When you start the work and we evaluate it, or during the monitor and control process, we let them know the way you are going about it, the project will not be able to, we are not able to work on and deliver on the deliverables and work packages well. Projects can be cancelled abruptly. When also there are some resource shortages, it happens a lot with building construction projects when owners of those buildings did not make accurate budget. You start and then you see that they will tell you that now they don't have money, so you need to wait. It happens a lot. That's why when you move around, you can see some buildings have been there. Construction started some 20 years ago, but some are completely abandoned, or the progress is very slow, right? So you need to close those projects because you cannot keep your workers and equipment on that site that money is not coming, resources is not coming, so you are not making any progress. So you have to close it so that when the owner is ready, they will do remobilization or maybe award the contract to another person. So it happens. Also, natural occurrences, natural disasters. Sometimes even the project owners die. So there's no one in the family to even sponsor the continuation of the project. So it hangs like that. You have to end it. Sometimes flooding can end the project abruptly, assuming it's Independence Day, wedding project, all those ones, and there's heavy storm, you have to close it, even though certain things might have, maybe they, instead of having a reception, if it's very difficult to do that, you may have to package the food and give to individuals instead of having a serve yourself in a open. All those things can cause a project to close. And sometimes also legal restrictions. When you start with a particular project activity, and all of a sudden it has become illegal. For example, until 2025, or maybe until 2024 rather, you could have projects that may be into buying and selling of gold in Ghana. Maybe you can export. But when the gold board issue came in now, they are the sole institution that was supposed to license. So you may be working on something for a company that was into that kind of business, but when there's a new law that makes certain things illegal or restricted, then you may have to also change either you end that project or they will have to recommission it properly through appropriate authority. So many things can happen that will make you to close the project, but whatever it is, the project must be closed properly. So to close a project, the reason why we need to close a project, or the reasons are that we need to wrap up with one, and then we can be able to submit the deliverables. You cannot continue working on the project forever, then it ceases to be a project. You move to another project, maybe there's another one waiting for you, and get paid for managing the project. Without submitting the project, you don't get paid. You also need to deliver results to project owners or sponsors. You need to celebrate success and motivate your team. This is what many Ghanaian project managers don't do. When projects are completed, that's not the end. You need to meet and then celebrate success and then take stock of all that you've done and then give special awards to people who are deserving of it. Yeah, so that next time when you start another project, people will be more serious. And then you also need to fulfill legal requirements of handing over projects to the right people. Yeah, so it's very important. If you don't hand over project to your clients or your sponsors or the owners, like I said earlier, if you build a house with AC and all that, and you don't hand it over properly, and 1 week later, the owner goes there and says, we have finished everything, and the ACs are missing, who is going to bear the cost? Okay, so you need to hand over all projects amicably so that there will not be any legal bantam. It is also a requirement that when you finish a project, you need to hand it over to the owners so that we don't end up having issues with them. What are the things you need to be able to close a project? The charter. Remember, we need a charter for planning. So the charter is the outcome of the initiation phase. The charter can be called the project document or it can be called the contract. Basically, that is what authorizes you to implement the project. You have to go back to it and check whether all the objectives of the projects and other things that were mentioned in the charter have been met. Then the project management plan. That is where you have your deliverables, work packages, and schedule and all that. So you need to check whether you have delivered on all the things you need to work on, whether you have worked within time, costs. All those baselines are in the project management plan. Then accepted deliverables. The deliverables that you have completed and they have been accepted. Remember, we talk about validation of project scope. Yes. Those that they have come to validate and they are accepted, oh, this is exactly what we want. You have to keep those as inputs. Then, especially the accepted deliverables come in when you are working in phases or deliverable by deliverable. You finish with the deliverable one, they accept that one, you take it. If it's a research work, if it's a market research, you take that one. Then training. they can be deliverables on their own. Each of them that have been accepted, you need to keep record of it. Then at the end of during the closure, you have to go back to them and then use them as your final report. Then project documents, any other document that is associated with the project, if it is not in the charter, it's not in the project management plan, it's not in the deliverables accepted, you have to keep them. So especially things like, remember we talk about change requests, all right, integrated change control process. So if there's a change request for something to be changed, either added or removed from the project plan, you need to make sure you either update the project management plan itself, or you add it as an appendix or addendum and add it to it. And all those things will have to show, so that if someone questions you about, we plan to have training 5,000 people at the beginning. Why is it that in your final report you say you have trained only 20 and only 2,000? All right, so then there can be a feedback that, okay, there was a change because the owner says that they don't have resources to do all the 5,000, or we learned the 5,000 was too much, you decided to do 2,000. So all those changes must be there as document to support what you are handing over at the end of the day. So you also need to look at the organizational process assets. Okay, when we talk about organizational process assets, it is how things are done in our organization, the processes, the procedures, and how we do things. So why is it important at the closure stage as an input? We need to check to be sure that we follow due process, the way things are done. You have to make sure we initiate and close project according to the way we do it in our organization. It is also important because when auditors come in, they will see whether we have gone through due process in arriving at the final outcome, or we just did anything anyhow. All right, because the means to the end is also important to ensure quality, or for quality assurance purposes. It's not just people having certificates, but how did they get a certificate? All right, it's very important. Did they go to class? Did they write exam? All those things. So you see that the same way, the way things are done in the organization is important to be able to validate that the process outcome or the project outcome is acceptable. Yeah. So Seth was asking whether it's necessary always to call or demand for performance certificates after the project is closed as a project manager. Well, again, it may depend on your organizational process assets and the circumstances under the case. But yeah, I would say that yes, if it is possible, take it, even if you don't need it. Performance certificates, yeah, may be necessary. Sometimes when you are going to bid for another project, you may want to add it, right? But there are some clients that do not have performance certificates, they can't issue it. So it depends on the general practice in the industry. But anytime it is possible, you can do that. Even if it's an individual, you can still draft one for the person to sign, so that when there are issues later, you can refer to that also. But there are some other things you can also use, like a validated scope. Okay, if you write the scope validation statement, and then the person signs that yes, you have delivered, or call it accepted deliverable statement, the person has, oh, we have agreed that you have done A, B, C, D. All those things will be part of performance certificate to show that you have done something. But yes, especially in construction industry, I know there might be a need for performance certificates. I've seen certain calls for proposal that the sponsors require performance certificates. So you can use either accepted deliverable or any other documents you can draft for the person to sign. If it's an organization, you have to draft it on their letterhead. You can draft it for them to put it on their letterhead and sign that, yes, you have done ABC for them and they like it, you have done level of excellence can be from 90 or 80 or whatever, 199.9, even on the 100, or you have exceeded the expectation. All those things will be stated, and that gives you higher credibility for future contracts. Cool. So now we know the output. What are the and we know the input. What about the outputs? The output of every project closure will include a final product, service, or result. Remember how we're defining projects, we said we need to come up with a product, service, or result. So if it's a product, it can be tangible. It's a building, it's a house, it's a road, anything. It's maybe a new plant we have procured for manufacturing. All those things can have tangible element. Then the service, that is, it can be training service, can be consulting service, or result, maybe a change in incidence of robbery because of a lighting project that you've done. So nights, the places are more lighted or whatever. So it can be anything that you want, and you must come out with it so that everybody knows that this is what the outcome of the project is, or the output is. The project document updates. So if, for example, there was remember we have project documents. If there was a change, you have to update the document so everybody knows that this is the updated project management plan. Instead of 3 deliverables at the beginning, now we have 4 deliverables. So we are going to now check the 4 deliverables, not the 3. Then the final report of the project. And then you need to update organizational process assets. So if we found a new way of doing things in our organization as a result of this project, we need to now update it so that next time when we are implementing a new project, we use the new processes, so we don't go back to the old ways of doing things. That's basically what we're talking about as update of organizational process assets. Then activities and actions that are necessary for project closure. You have to make sure that all documents and deliverables are up to date and issues are resolved. If there are any issues, remember when we're validating scope, you may come across the variances. They need to maybe correct the variances before you progress to the next stage. Then you need to confirm whether there's a formal acceptance. Remember, someone asked about performance certificate. Yes, so there must be confirmation, okay, and formal acceptance of all the deliverables by the customer. Yeah, someone asked about the slide. Yes, we'll share the slides to you. I think the slides have already been shared. Yeah, so if those who don't have it, we'll still share with you later. Yeah, or you can contact your colleagues here. Yeah, then you need to ensure that all costs are charged to the project. Sometimes you may do certain things for the project and you forgot to bill the project. Okay, so you have to check that everything that has been bought, because as a project manager, you may be taxed. You may have to spend some monies even before checks are signed, just to make sure project is ongoing. If you're not careful, you can forget. So you have to make sure all those monies are paid. Well, if you have done something that you have not work on, or you have not charged the project, you have to charge it. If there are any outstanding debtors that you have to, creditors that you have to pay, make sure you pay those creditors, so that maybe you have gone for cement on credits and all that. Make sure you pay them. Consultants have worked for you, have not yet paid them. Make sure you pay them. You have to reassign project staff or formally end their contract. Some project staff, like contract employees, consultant, and those people, if you don't formally end their contract, they will still be on site doing nothing, and you have to be paying them. If they are regular employees, you have to now let them report back to HR department so they can be reassigned to other projects because this one is completed. And then reallocating project facilities, equipment, and other resources. If there's a pickup given to you for this project, you have to hand it over to transport officer, then they can reallocate it, any equipment or resources. Remember, we discussed at length about resource and other things that may be in excess. If there's any excess resources, instead of leaving them at the site, like we said, we go to building construction site and there are a lot of materials just wasting there. Rather, return them to warehouse or your resource bay so that they can be reallocated to another project or sold, and then some monies can be recovered. And then, yeah, that's about dealing with excess materials we discussed. Then elaborate the final project reports as required by the organization. So make sure you prepare an elaborated project report that includes all the incidents that have happened and how you handle them, so that tomorrow, if we are starting a new project, we can learn from it. So with all these things in mind, what is the procedure? First, you need to review the lessons learned. What is the lessons learned? What and what went wrong and what and what went right? That lesson will help us in future. Then, so that we don't continue doing the wrong thing, or we keep the good things that we have done. If there's a new way of mixing concrete we discovered that saves time and improves quality, we don't have to go back to the old thing. But if you don't review the lessons learned reports at the closure, we'll not know that we have done something better. Then obtain approvals for resources that have been used, for work that has been done, performance certificates. You have to obtain them. That people who are responsible to ensuring that work is done, they have approved that the work has been done accurately, and they have signed and stamped if necessary. Then, yeah, that is getting their signatures on all the things. Then you close the contracts. After all approvals are done, you get the signatures. Then you close contracts with suppliers, with employees who are employed as contract employees for this particular project. Then you have to compute the final cost for the project, make payments to people, everyone. Then you can, after you have made the payments, then you can now finalize your reports. And then you work on what we call transition support. So that transition support is when you have finished the project and you need to train some people to maybe handle the project and the project outcome. If it's a new equipment you have procured for the organization, there should be a need for training for people to be able to use it and maintain it well. It's a new house. How are the doors going to be operated? Maybe sometimes the doors are a bit mechanical and all that. So everything about the place, you have to give transition support to them. That is from the project manager, to the user of the outcome or the output of the project. Then you have to release resources. Yeah, all the human resources, financial, equipment, capital, anything that you are not that is still outstanding at the end of the project must be retained to the organization. Yeah. So that is it about it. And then once you release all those resources, then you need to archive your documentation of the project. You see, this is sometimes where people get it wrong. After all these things are signed, after all these reports are prepared, where do you keep them? Sometimes you go and look for this report, you can't find them when you need them. So these days, what you can do is to keep them in the clouds. And important project reports, don't keep them in only one cloud storage. You can do OneDrive, you can do Dropbox. You can also keep one on an external storage device somewhere, because something happens after 10 years and you are looking for it. If you don't find it, so make sure you properly archive them, name them nicely. You can even keep it on multiple computers with your project team, those who can be trusted to keep the documents. So in case you need it, you can't find, there were times in the past that you finish a project, after 5 years, you look for the report, you can't find it because, then we didn't have a lot of cloud storage, but now cloud storage will mean that your documents are all intact. Then what we normally don't do I said it earlier today, celebrating success. Yeah, we need to make sure we celebrate success with your team. It make them anticipate another celebration when you start a new project. So they will be working hard towards that day. If there are bonuses, share bonuses with them, thank them. Yeah, and yeah, if there are things that didn't go right, of course, you have mentioned it to them already during the lessons learned review session. But celebration is really important. Anytime you complete the project, you need to celebrate. Then, once you are done, you need to evaluate the project. So, project evaluation comes at the end of the completion or closure. Monitoring and controlling comes in between the various process groups. But when you are done, you need to find out if you have achieved exactly what you have done. So evaluation can be done right at the end, or sometimes they do some projects. So sometimes some project managers may conduct internal and external evaluation. Internal evaluation when you get somebody within the organization to do that, and then external when you get someone from outside the organization to evaluate to see whether what you've done. You can evaluate the processes and also the output. If that output or the outcomes are good quality, whether the processes to getting the outcomes can be improved, they can also make input. So it's very key. But the project sponsor can also do some evaluation, right? The project sponsor can also evaluate the project. Sometimes they may wait until after some time, after you have handed over, they will come and check and see whether what you have produced, your output or the outcome is functioning properly or not. Because initially, when they check, everything might be very well. So you need to keep the impact in mind. After several years, will your project outcome still be valuable? That's what you need to do. So, yeah, monitoring affect the outputs of the current project. Evaluation results affect future projects. So when you monitor, it helps you to control the current project. But when you evaluate whatever comes out of it, it will help you that in future you do things differently. Yeah. And this is where you compare performance or deliverables with specifications. If you detect any defect before consumer finds out or the customer finds out, then you can be able to make changes. And then you manage variances. That's reworks, fit for purpose discussions with stakeholders. So anytime the stakeholders or your sponsors also conduct their own work research or evaluation on your project and they find something, they will tell you and then you see how you can handle them. And that's how you close your projects and evaluate it. So you need to also validate project deliverables. We've discussed that earlier about validation of scope and the closure. Yes, this is part of evaluation process. They need to measure stakeholder satisfaction. So you need to have meetings and discussions. You need to have surveys. You can, if your stakeholders are willing, you can have interviews with them or discussion with them online. Nowadays, you can do this online if they are far away, or you can just send surveys for them to make input. You can also, satisfaction survey can be testing. Testing is making use of what you've produced or what the outcome is to see whether they are fine. It's like one way to test our University of Cape Coast products is to employ you to see whether you perform well. Okay. So every project every project will have an outcome, and that outcome can be tested real time to see whether they are of good quality or not. And that will be, so you can go back to go and check with your client whether what you have produced out of the project, your project outcome is fit for purpose or not. Then you can do formal or informal unsolicited feedbacks. You can send feedback or you can receive feedback from your clients. And then you can also give those feedbacks back to the team. So anytime there's a feedback, share it with your team. Don't keep it alone because maybe the team members may not know and they will repeat similar mistakes if it's a negative feedback. If it's a positive feedback, they may not know that what they have done, people are noticing it. So you need them to know so that next time they will do it again and do it much better. So other issues to consider during the project closure one, you do not give excuses. During the closure, if there is something that is not done well, don't say, we'll explain to him. You cover it. Let's go. No, correct it. Because your client did not employ you or give you the contract for you to come and explain why you didn't do it, but for you to do that thing. Even if it costs you additional resources. Yeah. If you need to think that it may be too much for you to bear, you can call a meeting for integrated change control, where you can explain things for them to maybe provide additional resources if necessary. But don't say that I'll go and explain to them why we didn't do it. No. If it's in the project plan, you must make sure you do. And you have to acknowledge your weaknesses. If there's something that didn't go right, just be sincere, like, okay, this one we didn't do because maybe because of A, B, C, D. Yeah. But not an excuse for not getting anything under the project done. Maybe this one was delayed a bit because of A, B, C, D, but the work must be done. Everything must be checked. Then evaluate unintended outcomes and how they can be managed. So sometimes when you are working with a team, there may be unintended, there can be accidents, there can be delays and all that. Check to see what really happened and see how you can manage those things in future so that they don't occur again. And that is how you close your projects very well. So to end this particular lecture, the lessons that we've learned, the knowledge and the tools we have acquired will help us in our daily lives and also in our professional endeavors and even our social lives. It will be very important that we make sure our project is well implemented. It will be very good. One day we'll meet some of you at places where you are receiving awards as the overall best project manager, even though you may be in your procurement profession or somewhere else. And that is what we will see as an evaluation of our efforts that we have given in this project. We would give you some few more announcements about next week. But for now, we want to thank you for dedicating your time to be part of this project, which is a program and project management course. We have not closed it yet, but this is a milestone we have achieved. A milestone that lectures will come to an end, and then we can have our presentation next week. So I would stop sharing my screen. Dr. Ofori, Tuela.
Yes, Dr. Bruno, thank you so much.
Okay.
So as you mentioned, I think the floor is open for some questions and clarifications from. I can already see is it Emma Lois?
Yes, Doc.
Yes.
Please, I wanted to find out next week's class. Is it on Saturday or on Sunday?
Okay, I think we will just go with the timetable. Last week when we met you, one of you asked the same question. And I remember saying that usually there is flexibility if you are doing just one course for that particular block. If it's just one, we are free to pick which day is best for us. But with presentation coming on, if it is just this course you are doing, then I will suggest that we start on Saturday so that if we are not able to exhaust all presentations, we can do the rest on the Sunday. Yes,
I second.
All right, Doc. Thank you so much.
So if it is just one course you are doing, if it's just one course, then it's going to be a Saturday.
Yeah, so far it's one course for this blog.
Exactly. So Dr. Luna, I think my submission is okay.
Yeah, that's fine. And let's see if they have a different proposal. I see Victoria's hand up.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, Doc.
Please, I want to ask a question about the project charter. Is it very necessary to include a risk and contingency allocation in that charter?
So project charter may have risk and contingency. In fact, project charter defines the project, what you can do and what you cannot do. That's what you use for the planning and execution. Now, there are some charters I've read that they said there's no room for contingency or any additional cost, and they call it what we call the fixed sum contract. They normally will say that this is it and work with it. We have variable sum contract also that you can expand. But the issue of contingency is either explicitly stated or not stated at all. If it's not stated in the charter, you cannot include it in your project budget. Otherwise, you may need to inquire first. If you are the one giving out the contract, you also need to decide whether you want to include contingency in the charter, which is the contract document, or not. If you include it, it may be a playing ground for some unscrupulous project managers to chop your money. Because what is contingency? You are not there. They can always use it. But international projects, mostly they don't have contingency budget. Germans will tell you, everything you need to work for, you plan it. You cannot plan contingency, right? If you can actually think about it, that it can happen, then you put in the budget. Otherwise, cannot say, oh, the prices might increase. Then put it in the budget. If you think that price might increase by 10%, then that's what we call padding of estimates. So it depends on the circumstances, but some project managers, I've seen some project charters that have explicitly said that there can be allocation for contingency not exceeding maybe 3% or 5% of the contract sum. So it is not a hard and fast rule, but it depends on the circumstances. Maybe Dr. Ofori also want to add something. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Unu, thank you. So yes, I think you've mentioned it. If it is something monetary, if it is related to funds, where the sponsors will have to be financing certain uncertainties, then usually they will give you a limit. So I remember in one project like that, their budget template, in their financial statement, the template, they will put the contingency there and then will put a footnote that is supposed to be a percentage of something. But where it is non-monetary, maybe issues of leadership, governance, changes in some circumstances, that one, they will tell you are free to present your risk and assumptions, that they give room for those going to implement the project, because it is also believed that you are knowledgeable, you are experienced. So based on your experience in similar contexts, what do you think are the possible uncertainties that we might face, and how do you intend to mitigate it? So it's always important to include it, but at the conceptual stage, you need to include these risk assumptions and contingencies. Very important, because it helps even the sponsor to know that really you understand what you are doing. So you don't present like 100% situation where nothing will go wrong. Even that one, they will not even believe. They will not believe, because they know that on the ground, when you are implementing projects, there are risks. There are things that you need to mitigate. Okay, thank you.
Doc. Thank you, Doc.
Doc, I have a question.
Yes, Sulemana, go ahead.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Please, Doc, I know a contract that was awarded, I learned it was awarded, that was 2007. And unfortunately, the contractor died and he couldn't complete the contract. So it was just 2019 that the son also came and continued the contract. And then I wanted to find out, and I learned the contract was awarded under Get Fund. So I wanted to find out whether there will be an integrated change control factor control, maybe through stakeholder consultation to review the contract for the SAN to continue.
Okay, that's interesting. The information you have provided is not enough for me to be able to make, explicit statements on what happened. But it's really an interesting situation. Like, so it's like more than 10 years interval before the project continued again. So
he completely demolished the structure and started again.
Okay. I suspect there might have been some legal proceedings that the court might have compelled them to, in law, there's something we call specific performance. Maybe monies were paid to the guy's father, so they had to look for the money and continue the project. Or Get Farm projects are notorious for political influence. Maybe when there was a change in regime from the timelines you are talking about. So maybe government started freezing funds, or they stopped the project of funds. So when another government comes, they realize they want to continue and they ask the person to continue. So many things might have happened. In fact, all the things we've learned here, when you go to the public sector, you might see completely different things. Some of the issues, you see that the issues are working with their heads down and their legs up. Because of political influence, integrated change control issues, monitoring and control issues may be abandoned. You go to places and people are making phone calls to change project scope without any relevant documentation. So you have to be careful. Sometimes when those things come, even if the sponsor did not say that, okay, did not write anything formal, please, when you receive a call, write it on paper and send it to the person to sign. Keep that signed document as evidence that there was a need to change either the time or anything. Because a time will come when, even if it's a political project, if the other party is not in power, you may be dragged to court. They will tell you, bring your project charter. You bought the project charter. How much was it? 10 million cedis. Then in the end, you got paid 25 million cedis. What's the difference? He said, the minister called me and said that I should add ABCD. No, the court are not going to work with that minister called me. What if the minister even denies, or maybe he's dead? So it's very important that everything that happens, document it as a project manager. But this particular case, likely to be a politically motivated situation that there's no accountability or something like that. Dr. Fori.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. I mean, that's the things you said. Even for a son to come into the situation, that alone should raise very huge red flags. What is the evidence that the son even didn't benefit from the initial construction? And for the son to come demolish and start again, where was he when the initial one was being done? So there are a lot of questions even surrounding the brief information you've shared with us. It's clear that there are a lot of secrecy, absence of accountability, lack of leadership, and political interference somewhere. Yes. So that is it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So when are we meeting on Saturday next week? Are you keeping to the 7 o'clock, or what time is most reliable? Is the 7 o'clock working for you, or is it too late in the day already, or too early?
Well, I think it will be good because of the presentations.
Yeah.
We have 10. Yes, we have 10. So we need to even agree. Are we doing all 10 on Saturday, or for us? We are available. If you want us to do all the 10, we can do it. We can do all the 10. But it also depends on your readiness and how swift you are able to project your screens, and then we work faster within time. So I will go for the 7 a.m. We start by 7 a.m. and then if by 10 we've done more than 50% of the presentations and we want to continue on Sunday, we do that. Just like today's lecture, as when you start early, you close early, and then we can attend to other pressing activities.
Can we even agree on the time for the presentation? Can you do this between 15 minutes, within 15 to 20 minutes maximum, so that there's a need for questions. We don't want to exceed more than 30 minutes for a group.
For each presentation, because we have 10.
Yeah.
If you have 10 presentations and...
That's 5 hours. If you are doing
yes,
30 minutes, that's a lot already. So we want you to try to keep your presentation short. Between 15 minutes. Yeah. Summarize it. Elsewhere, they'll give you 5. I've traveled to a conference in the UK. They give me only 10 minutes to make a presentation after traveling for how many hours?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't talk much. You
Yeah.
will spend 3 days. You
Yeah.
spend 3
Traveling.
days on movement alone, and then just go and spend maximum 30 minutes with people and come back. That's
And then
all.
come back. So we need to begin to learn this, because it's part of the training. I also become executives and managers. You meet people that everything you need to summarize within 5 minutes and convince them or not. So let's work within 15 minutes for the presentation, and then we can leave time so that even if there are no too many questions, we can be able to finish everything on Saturday by 11, 12. Then we are done. Then we can close it. Wilfred.
Doc, please, I'm humbly pleading that kindly extend the time to, let's say, 20 or 25 minutes. I'm begging you, sir, so that we can have time to prepare. Yes.
Okay. In all our presentations, sometimes 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes should be okay.
15. So there may
you
be...
don't talk too much.
We even want 10 minutes.
10 minutes, you don't talk too much.
You don't talk
Yeah, just
plenty.
elaborating
You
on
present
points, and
them.
then
If there are questions, you
discussion.
address them. That's all.
So I think our, on the average, with all the information coming, our 15 to 20 minutes should be fine by everyone. We can have the excesses, some going a little over, but I mean, we can stay within this time, and we should all be fine.
Exactly. I think 15 minutes for the presentation, and if possible questions within 5 minutes, you should be able to address those questions within 5 minutes. So 15 to 20 will be cool.
That's all.
But don't exceed 20 minutes. If you do 10 minutes, that is fine. Do 15 minutes, fine. Maximum 20, not more. So we are going to keep a stopwatch, and when it is 15 minutes, we'll tell 5 minutes more. When it is 90 minutes, we'll tell 1 minute more. When it's 20 minutes, we'll mute you from, when you are speaking, crowd, no one will hear you. Only those in your house will hear you. We'll mute you because you have exceeded your time. 20 minutes. They have deadline. So please rehearse it. Rehearse the presentation. So one thing we plan doing today is that I have created a breakout room, group 1 to group 10. So we can connect you now. Then you can quickly discuss how you want the presentation to be, and if you have some group meetings, you can do that quickly, 30 minutes or so, 1 hour before you go. And then we will leave, but when you are done, and then you can I'll close the group page around 11 o'clock. If that is okay with you, or if you want to plan a meet at another time too, we can end the session, then you can have that meeting later.
The first option is okay.
Let's meet now.
Okay. Dr. Fori, any more announcement before I open the group, the rooms for them?
No. I wish them the best, and my comment is that we should all cooperate the way they've cooperated in coming together, making the lecture sessions very interactive and very interesting. They should all cooperate. Everybody should appear. Everybody, no excuses. Everybody should appear. Let us have a very fruitful presentation. So it's better you meet now and agree on who has a good internet, who will show the slides. These are all good for us. It's very good for us. These things that we do online, they are ways of also improving on our own online delivery and presentation skills. So please, let's all collaborate in this exercise.
Okay, thank you. So on that note, please, I have made it that you can select your own room. So it will show on the page group 1 to group 10. If you're in group 5, just click on group 5 and you can enter. So I'm sure you should be able to see it now. So you can go. If you can't see it on your screen, you can go to breakout. You see something like breakout and on your screen or something and click on it, and then you can select your group number and just join.
As if you can see it, what you do. Sir,
Hello.
please, those of us who can see, what do we do?
Go under your screen. You'll see something like breakout. Have you seen breakout rooms or something?
Some of us are not seeing anything.
Also,